So last week I saw Spider-Man Homecoming and I loved it a lot. It was the closest anyone has ever gotten to how I have always seen Spider-Man. In this video I want to explain why that is. Now this isn't me trying to say that he is definitively the best Spider-Man. For other people, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is the Spider-Man, and I can respect that, and I like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films a lot. I grew up with them, but they never captured how I saw the character. And by the way, there will be some spoilers in here, so there's your warning. Now, I grew up reading Ultimate Spider-Man by Brian Michael Bendis. That Peter Parker felt like an actual kid to me. He tried to hang out at parties, he wanted to be cool, he had actual friends, he struggled in school because he spent his off hours being a superhero. This was a Spider-Man who juggled being a kid and his sense of responsibility, as well as being a relatively small fish in the big pond of the larger Marvel universe. The heavy hitters from other series would occasionally enter his world, but they always left him in Queens again with his poor Aunt May struggling to get by. Spider-Man Homecoming had that kind of feel for me. It felt like Spider-Man actually lived in Queens. There was a real sense of place this time that you didn't really get in the other Spider-Man films. As an outsider to most of the East Coast in general, in most movies, New York may as well be a fantasy setting with how it's portrayed. Like, it's always big and sprawling and just a sea of giant buildings, especially in the Raimi movies. It just feels like this land where other people live kind of normally, but in this heightened reality. And for some reason, Homecoming, it felt like a place that people actually live in. And that's not only new for Spider-Man movies, that's new for like the Marvel Universe in general, cinematically. Now, what the movie didn't have was the same sense of constant struggling Ultimate Spider-Man had, but it made up for that with this youthful energy that was incredibly reminiscent of being a dumbass high school kid who thinks he has big problems, but like they're not really the biggest problems in the world. They also captured this feeling in how Tony Stark treated Peter throughout the movie. When you're a teenager, you feel like you're just as capable as the adults sometimes, and the truth is, you're not. And the way Peter felt unjustly shrugged off by Tony was exactly how I felt as a teenager sometimes. The movie was somehow able to capture that feeling, and it's kind of what Spidey's villain is like in the movie too. It's not the biggest threat in the world, but to Peter, it's incredibly personal and hugely important, and that's how it should be in a Spider-Man film, I feel. The Raimi movies always felt so big and epic, and frankly, to me, that's not Spider-Man. Again, to other people, I understand if that does sound like Spider-Man, but for me, Spider-Man is the small-scaled hero trying to get by and occasionally getting to team up with the guys in the big time. This movie is exactly what I want in my Spider-Man films. For the next movie, I hope they keep the high school subplots and spend the time they spent on the Avengers stuff in this movie more on Peter's difficult life as a poor kid instead. I want to see how Aunt May pays the bills. I want to see Peter maybe trying to make some money on the side to try and help her out. I want to see more small-scale villains and crimes for Spidey to be personally invested in. And most importantly, I want to see more Donald Glover as the Prowler. If he's not a recurring character throughout these movies, I can't put into words how profoundly disappointed I'll be. In general, I'm not excited for Marvel superhero stuff anymore. I'll go watch them, and I'll probably enjoy myself, but I'm not going to rewatch them, and I'm not going to be like, oh man, I sure can't wait for that next Marvel film. Except when it comes to Spider-Man. Spidey has always been my favorite superhero, bar none, and I want to see as much of a Spider-Man done well as I possibly can, so, you know, keep it up, guys. Please keep making Spider-Man good, and don't make him bad, because that will make me unhappy. And I don't want to be unhappy. Alright, that's it. That's the video.